Hello, good morning, friends. Welcome back for this second class on psychology. Especially, I'm dealing with general psychology. Let's take a brief recap of the last class. In the last class, that was the first class of this subject, we were dealing with introduction to psychology. We were saying introduction to psychology, general psychology and social psychology, and in this first semester I am concentrating upon general psychology. The last hour we have seen meaning of psychology. What is meaning of psychology in general, according to the text, according to the etymology, and about the definitions. As we saw in the last class, there are various proponents coming forward with their own definition about what is psychology. They have defined in their own way, they have contributed their own share to the definitions about psychology. Among the very many proponents of this subject psychology, especially about the definition, some of them are whom we have dealt with are some Greek philosophers who we have dealt with. Also, William James, Edward Bradford, J.B. Watson, William McDougall. These are some of the proponents about whose definitions we have seen in the last class. Also, about the nature of psychology. What is the nature of psychology? It is scientific. Is it really a science in strict sense? No, it is not so. In a strict sense, psychology is not science. And why it is not science? In the strict sense, I repeat, we have dealt with. There are some criteria basing on what we declare something to be scientific or not scientific. The same criteria we applied for psychology. Many of the criterion points are correct. One of them was a bit lacking. For that reason, we said psychology cannot be called scientific in its strict sense. At the very same time, from time immemorial, attempts were made, a serious attempts, a constant attempts made to make psychology as a science. As the result of that, now it is considered as a developing positive psychology, positive science. Psychology is considered as developing positive science. This is what we have dealt with in the previous classes. Now, as we see on the board, in this class, I'm just dealing with these points. What is the scope of psychology? And as we deal with, let's clarify the term scope. What it usually means. Generally, what is the meaning of scope? Scope means the range or extent of matters being dealt with. To what extent this matter is dealt with? To what extent this subject matter is applicable, to what extent this subject matter is dealt with, to what extent the operations are dealt with on this subject. That is generally what is the meaning of the term scope. So also it is the same with regard to psychology. Scope of a subject can be usually under two heads. What are those two heads? Number one, the limits of its operations and applications. Every subject has by nature some limitations. Limitations about its applications and about its operations. To what extent this subject is operated, to what extent this is applied, to what extent it is practiced. There is a limit. That limit makes the boundary, that limit speaks of the scope of the subject. The second head is the branches, the topics and the subject matter with which it deals. I simplify. Every subject has some branches, some fields. And what are the branches? What are the fields of the subject psychology as per our consideration? And now, here itself I would like to make clear the term branches and the term fields, they are used interchangeably. They mean one and same. Now, before ever I go to that, let's deal with this point. The scope of psychology. In general, its operations and applications we mean, and in particular psychology, what are the limits and the boundaries of the operations and applications of psychology. That's what we mean here. The scope, the range, the extent, the boundary up to where this is applied, this is operated, is meaning of the term scope. Now, with regard to our consideration about psychology, the scope of psychology is all living organisms. Because psychology deals with the study of the human behavior. Earlier it was considered as human behavior. Later on it was considered, importance was given to animal behavior also. Final conclusion is such that it is concerned of all the living organisms' behavior. All living organisms include human beings, animals, birds, even the plants. That also is included. The behavior of all the living organisms is the scope of psychology. And as we know, can anybody say what is the limit of or what is the number of the living organisms on the face of the earth? There is no limit. We cannot say this many living organisms are there in the world on the face of the earth. We cannot say that. There is no boundary because numerous they are, numberless they are beyond our counting. So also their activities. By the very fact the living organisms are countless, automatically their activities also will be countless. For this reason, we cannot impose a limit upon the fields of psychology. There is no limit about the fields of psychology. At the very same time, in short, to be precise, it includes, to put it in different words, about there is no limit about the fields of psychology. The other term is that it includes all the living organisms. Now we deal with the branches of psychology. Especially these branches of psychology, they are grouped into two groups. One is pure psychology, other one is applied psychology. What is pure psychology and what is applied psychology? What it deals with, pure psychology, and what applied psychology deals with, we are going to deal with. Pure psychology, as we know, it is theoretical. It provides us a theory. It provides us principles. It provides us a framework of the subject. Here also, pure psychology, as we consider psychology as a pure psychology, we speak, and this theme speaks about the theories, principles, framework about psychology. And applied psychology, we deal with its applicability, we deal with in this context. Pure psychology provides theoretical framework of the subject. The branches of pure psychology deal with formulations, principles, theories, and also it suggests the methods of the assessment of the behavior. All these principles, theories, methods, framework, formulations, all this, whatever pure psychology supplies, provides, they help us to have an assessment about the behavior. And also, it speaks about the modification of the behavior, modification, analysis, and improvement of the behavior it deals with. Now, applied psychology we have understood. The pure psychology, I repeat, pure psychology finds its practical shape in applied psychology. Pure psychology is nothing, again I repeat, it provides us the principles, the methods, the rules, the regulations that are applied to assess the behavior. And pure psychology finds its actual shape in applied psychology. Now, what is applied psychology? Applied psychology putting into practice the principles provided by the pure psychology. There is no much difference. This is in a pinpointed manner. This is the difference between these two. Let me repeat again. Usually, very many times the one question I faced from the students, a frequently asked question, frequently repeated question I faced from the students. They asked, what is the difference between pure psychology and applied psychology? For that, you can take note of these points. Pure psychology provides theories, principles, methods which finds its practical shape in applied psychology. Pure psychology provides us the theories, the principles, the methods, and the practical shape of this is found in applied psychology. Then what is applied psychology? Applied psychology applies the theories, the principles generated by the pure psychology to the life in general. Let me say, these two, pure psychology and applied psychology, they complement each other. Then there is complete meaning. It gives the theory, it finds the practicality. The practical side of pure psychology is found in applied psychology. Theory, principles are provided by general psychology, and applied psychology applies them into the practical life, in the life general. As the result of that, we find the proper, the definition that is given is proper or not. Now, pure psychology, the branches of pure psychology. As we see on the board, there are some branches. Branches of pure psychology: general psychology, abnormal psychology, social psychology, developmental psychology, physiological psychology, parapsychology, geopsychology, and experimental psychology. These are the branches of pure psychology. Now, let's deal with them in a detailed manner. General psychology, as a branch of pure psychology, it deals with fundamental rules, principles, theories of psychology in relation to the study of behavior of normal adult human beings. I repeat, general psychology studies about the behavior of a normal adult human being. What is the behavior of an adult who is healthy, especially psychologically? How his behavior is, and what is the cause for his behavior to be this way? That is dealt with in general psychology. As we see, abnormal psychology, the term itself speaks about the abnormality. Abnormality means it is not normal, something different from normality. And there are reasons for abnormality. I repeat, these reasons for the abnormal behavior may not be one and same for all the people who have got abnormality in their behavior. Abnormal psychology describes and explains the behavior of abnormal people in relation to their own environment. This point we need to keep in mind. In relation to their own environment, as we see, there are many who have got abnormality in their behavior, not normal in their behavior. And the reasons for their abnormality will not be the same for everybody who have got this abnormality. They have got their own reason, their own background for which they have become abnormal. What is the reason behind it? For the reason of for the behavior to be an abnormal, individual to individual, person to person, situation to situation, it differs. What may be a cause for one person for his abnormal behavior may not be the same for another person who have got abnormality in his behavior. Not only the persons but all the situations, the life situations, the backgrounds, the society, the peer group, there are very many elements. There are various aspects which contribute for the abnormality in the behavior. That is what is dealt with in abnormal psychology. Now, as we see, there is another one, social psychology. What is social psychology? As we know, man is a social animal. He lives in a society. As he lives in a society, he is not an individual island. There are many in the society, the neighbors. And he relates with the society. Society, I repeat, people in the society. And he relates to them. And in his relation to the society, how his behavior can be influenced. That is what is dealt with social psychology. Social psychology studies group behavior, interrelationships of people with other people, group dynamics, likes and dislikes, and interests and attitudes. These are presented in this psychology, social psychology. Social psychology study the behavior of individuals in their relation to the society and the cultural settings. For example, we have friends, we have best friends, high-fi friends. There are some who do not like us. There are some who find difficult with our company. What I'm trying to say, according to the people in the society, our behavior is affected. Our behavior changes person from person to person. For example, when we talk to a friend of ours, how will be our behavior? What will be our language? How will be our approach? That will be different when we meet a person who do not like us. They are also members of the society, and we are all living together. Man is a social animal. We need to relate to each other. In our relationship, basing on the category of the relationship, basing on the intensity of the relationship, our behavior is affected. And that behavior is exhibited in our speech, in our interaction with others, in our feelings. All this is presented. When we talk to a friend, our behavior is one way. At the same time, an employee working in a company, in a company, how his behavior will be with his boss. He is under a boss. And how our behavior will be when there is somebody, a boss over us. How our interaction, how our dealings will be with him, that is different from our dealings with our friends. Like that, different people are there. Friends are there, relatives are there, blood relatives are there, best friends are there, people who like us, various categories of people are there. Basing on the relationship with different people, our behavior is changes. Our behavior changes. Our behavior is affected. That is what is dealt with in this group of subject, which is called social psychology. To put it in technical terms, social psychology speaks about the interpersonal relationship, intersubjectivity. Philosophically, there are different points. Some say the other is a threat for me. In that context, my relation with him will be in a different manner. The other philosophers, they say intersubjectivity. I need the other for my presence. To acknowledge my presence, I need the other. The other is a complement for me. One group of philosophers say, and yet another group of philosophers say, the other is a threat for me. All are part of the society. This is what we deal with in this group, in this branch of psychology, which is called social psychology. The presence of others can influence our behavior, our likes, our dislikes, our actions, and our freedom. The next point is developmental psychology. What is developmental psychology? Here, this deals with the development of an individual and his psychology, his or her psychology, from the time of conception to the time of death. To put it in different words, the development of an individual, the development of the psychology of an individual from womb to tomb. As we know, there are different stages in the development of an individual: physical life, social life, also psychologically. Physically, as a tiny baby, we are born. Gradually, as the age grows, we also gain the body, we also have the structure which is developing. And age-wise, there are different ages we can present about the human life. Various stages of life like natal period, neonatal period, then infancy, babyhood, childhood, adolescence, teenage, youth, middle age, old age. These are some of the stages of life. There may be very many more, but these are some of the important stages of life. And how our behavior will be different from stage to stage. For example, as an infant, our behavior will be something different from babyhood. We see our behavior changes from time to time. In our childhood, we play a lot of games like childish games, childlike behavior, childish games. We play so many games. The same games we cannot expect from an old man who is at the point of death, who is in his late age. We cannot expect the old man to do the same activities of little children. What I am trying to say, the development is there physically, psychologically, socially also. The behavior of a child is different from the behavior of a teenage boy. The behavior of a teenage boy's behavior is different from a middle-aged man. In our childhood, our consideration will be mostly about the studies, what to study and how to improve our studies. And once an individual comes to the age of youth, he will be preoccupied with his future, what to do, what job to do or what work to do, how to support his studies or what his family, whatever. A married man we see, a married woman we see, his considerations, his dreams, his way of looking at life, his behavior will be different from that of a child. Now, a married person is concerned of how to support his family, how to take care of the family. And in this regard, his behavior, his outlook, his future planning, everything will be different. And accordingly, his psychological approach towards the life also will be different, will not be the same all the time. The development of change of behavior from womb to tomb is the main consideration of this subject called developmental psychology. Changes in span of life. There are changes. Physical changes are there, emotional changes, cognitive changes, intellectual changes, social changes, and personality changes. These are some of the changes of the human development across the lifespan. Yes, it is true. This is seen in our life. Physically, there are changes from womb to tomb. Emotional, basing on the feeling that is dominating us, our emotions are changing. Maybe basing on the society, basing on the relationships we have with others, our emotional life also changes time to time. As a small baby, our emotion, our demands are different emotionally. The way of expressing of emotions of an individual, a baby also is something different. For example, I give a simple example. A baby or a child, when troubled or pained a little, the way he cries out, the way he expresses his emotion is something different. Crying aloud, so loud noise. The same, an adult may be having A middle-aged man also may have problems, a painful experience, but the way he expresses his pain, the same pain, feeling is same, emotion is same, but the manner of expression is different. Not that like childish, but as a matured man. And cognitive means it is related to the thinking, reasoning out, rationality. That also changes from time to time, age to age, stage by stage. A small baby, his intellectual capacity will not be the same of a grown-up person. He is looking outward, his future foresight, looking for future, his bright future, the planning, the reasoning out, the practical side, all this will be different from the child to a teenager, teenager to youth, youth to middle age to old age to the person suffering on the bed at the point of death. Emotions and thinking also changes. Intellectual changes also will be there. As some philosophers present, mind is tabula rasa in the beginning stage of the human life. A tabula rasa, an empty sheet, nothing is there. And as individual gains experience by observation, by learning, his intellectual knowledge grows. Will not be the same as he was in the childhood, will not be the same as an individual is a youth, will not be the same as an individual is a middle-aged person. Stage to stage of the different stages of span of life, the intellectual capacity of an individual also grows, develops. That's why we call this as developmental psychology. Emotional, intellectual development of an individual, that's what we dealt. And social relationship also develops time to time. Developmental psychology in the context of society. Our interactions with the people in the society changes from time to time, period to period, different stages of life. The way we interact as we were tiny babies, small babies with mummy, daddy and with our own families will not be the same when we go to the society. We may play all the playful tricks, we may be the way we want to be in our own family. We cannot be the same when we go to the other persons in the society. It changes. As a child, the behavior, the way I interact with other people is different. And as a grown-up one, as let us say aged youth, a young boy, the way he relates with the society, with the different people in the society is different. A married person, how he interacts with the society, the different people in the society, it differs. That is what is spoken by social psychology, especially the development of psychology in the background of society. And personality of an individual also changes and develops. Personality I repeat again, from the in the lifespan of an individual, his personality also develops, will not be the same in all the stages of life. As I said, there are different stages in the lifespan, and in each and every stage, the development of personality of an individual will not be the same all the time. Stage to stage, step by step, his personality also differs. And at each stage, they have different mindsets, different roles to be performed, different aspirations. Now we deal with physiological psychology. The another branch of pure psychology is physiological psychology. It is the study of human behavior through physiological impacts. It deals with how human mind affects our behavior. It is concerned with how physiology, genes, biology affect emotional responses, memory, mental illness, state of consciousness, and sensory perceptions. I simplify it. Here we speak of there is relationship between mind and body, and there is relationship between mind and body, In technical terms, there is a relationship between physiology and psychology. Now, physiologically speaking, the brain system, the brain cells, and nervous system, they have their own way of influencing the behavior of an individual. The mind gives the command, the body performs. That is the relationship between mind and body. And now, physiologically speaking, it deals with the brain system, the brain cells, the brain structure, and nervous system. They have their own way of influencing the behavior. In this context, I would like to make mention of one special gland that is called endocrine system. Endocrine system secretes, it produces hormones, and hormones in response to that will influence our behavior. Hormonal changes also affect our behavior. It is shown as a result of our behavior. Now, I deal with next point is parapsychology. It explains about, it speaks about the extraordinary perceptions, rebirth, telepathy, and also it speaks about extraordinary perceptions. Because of these elements too, the human behavior is changed, is affected, takes different shapes. The next group of psychology is, the next branch of pure psychology is geopsychology. By the very term geo, we understand it speaks about the earth, weather, climate, landscapes, and it explains that, it presents that the weather conditions, climatic conditions, and soil, landscapes, they also can have some effect on our behavior. Let me put it in simple terms. Landscapes, they affect our behavior. Our behavior will be different person to person. Let us take a simple example. Landscapes, when we stand on a higher point, a height point, and look down, some get giddiness, some fall unconscious, some get frightened. And for flying in the air, some get frightened, but some enjoy it. It changes person to person too. Reason I gave this point. Landscapes can affect our behavior. And also weather conditions. When it is too hot temperature, we get irritated. Lot of frustration. Sweating is there. We don't feel comfortable. As a result of all this, we get our behavior will be changed. Our interaction will be changed. We need a fan. Let me put it in another example as such. What I have faced in my life. Some people need fan all the time, even in the winter season. The climate is maybe below 16 to 18 degrees Celsius, let's say. Usually, some need fan. Their biological condition is such. Some do not need a fan. And this also affects the relationship between two people with a different biological setup of their body. So that way also, the weather conditions, the climatic conditions, we see some in the rain, they will be dancing and playing. And some, by the very fact it is raining, they run away from there. Because if they get wet in the rainwater, they will get sickness. With that fear, they will run away. Some will run away. But some, they will be dancing, they will be playing in the rain. That way, climatic conditions also affect our behavior. The next one is experimental psychology. The next branch of pure psychology is experimental psychology. It describes and explains ways and means of carrying out psychological experiments following scientific methods in controlled or laboratory situations for the study of the mental processes of the behavior. Experimental psychology deals with these elements, and in this manner, there are some experiments done on the behavior to find out in what background, in what situation, in what reason the behavior of an individual will be in what way. That is what we deal with, the experimental psychology deals with. And now, I repeat, I just concise, I just speak everything in nutshell. Different branches of psychology. There is pure psychology and applied psychology. And in this class, we have dealt with only the branches of pure psychology. In the next lesson, we will deal with the branches of applied psychology.